I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and we are about to have ourselves some good 90 minutes of entertainment at the very least, since the title of this video is accurate. It is, in fact, the highest level Carcassonne matchup that we're gonna see in the entirety of 2025. Because we're in the semifinals of the Fourth International Qualifier for the 2026 Carcassonne Champions League. This international qualification tournament is for the 8 players who achieved the highest rating on Board Game Arena in 2025. You can see all of them on the screen. In fact, I believe that everybody has been featured at least once in these streams, except Nallerheim, actually. But now we're about to fix this today. So have a look at these here 2 players. Have a look at the peak elos, right? And do you see anything standing out? The 2 only players to have achieved a rating above 850. For those of you who don't know, 700 is considered the threshold for master. So way, way, way above everybody else in level. And today they are going to clash. This is how the bracket looks. Nallerheim, this is the Finnish master, Otto Ikonen, will have had a bit of a hiccup until against Afonso Cavaco, with the screenname not new as this, lost 1 game but won 2, so as the result of this best of 3 they're now in the upper semifinals. RabbitRain also did not have a very easy time against Catalonia's David Bourdois with the screenname Devdin, also won 2-1, and probably today I would be a bit surprised if either player manages to prevail 2-0. Probably in the most likelihood we're going to see this headed to a decider, which we're gonna find out this in an hour or so. So yeah, as for the ratings of these players, you can see actually their achievements. So Otto is very interesting. So the top elo of 876, that was achieved back in 2024. And the spectacular part about this is that it wasn't achieved in any casual games. It was whilst he was winning the silver medal in the 2024 Mind Sports Olympiad Grand Prix. So I think he's possibly the only player to have ever achieved peak elo whilst participating in a tournament as opposed to casual games. His record held for nearly a year, I think for 11 months if I'm not mistaken, and RabbitRain was the one who took for him. And he did so in a casual game, but he did so actually by defeating Otto himself directly head-to-head. So the Finnish master might be a bit hungry for vengeance because of this. And then RabbitRain's record also held for a few weeks or so. Yeah, but it's really not just the rating. I mean, of course, it is the rating, but there is a reason behind this rating. Both players, exceptionally high level, no real weaknesses, very balanced, flexible styles. I guess if we need to talk about weaknesses, then both are not great in time trouble. So we're going to see how the end games progress quite interestingly. Both RabbitRain and Nallerheim are relatively slow players because they want to think about their moves and find the best moves. I think maybe RabbitRain more so than Otto, and maybe this will be the tiny advantage of Otto, but overall I expect to be quite a balanced game, quite a balanced matchup. Yeah, so the rating of Otto is also quite high, 838 in currently very good shape, 13,000 game of experience, nearly 10,000 victories. RabbitRain has played way, way fewer games online. Well, Carcassonne, that is. They're actually multifaceted board game athletes. You can see in certain games like Splendor, Lost Ruins of Arnog, they have the master title as well. But Carcassonne, they actually haven't played all that much. I mean, of course, 3,000 games nearly, it is quite a lot. But for a top player, this is about half an order of magnitude less than you normally expect. Alrighty. Hi, Nico. Hi, Soanon. Hi, Agatha. Hi, Fabian. Hi, Crafty Raf. Hi, Kolpnik. Yeah, my prediction is that it's going to be headed to a best of 3 Look, it's as balanced of a matchup as it gets. But I want to know what your prediction is and who you're rooting for. Of course, I expect maybe Otto to get a little bit more support in the chat due to him being a fellow YouTuber. But RabbitRain, of course, is a truly exceptional player who's a joy to watch. And we have started Nallerheim with green meeples, RabbitRain with his traditional red. Otto, did he not meeple the road by accident? Or is it Board Game Arena acting out again? Let me just refresh the page, because it would be quite interesting to start this match with a misclick. No, it is not a misclick. It is indeed Board Game Arena acting out, which is not great, but I'll do my best to work around this. Yes, so we do see a green meeple on the road, of course. The road has now been indirectly continued, while this new city has been started. RabbitRain, of course, the only player with a scoreboard already improved by 4 points. And now a very interesting decision here with the monastery from this here Japanese player. So what he's gonna do, of course he's gonna place a meeple on the monastery, but where exactly? Option 1, we go here because it's 4 points, it's the only 4-point spot, and he chooses to take the points. It also controls this here road square indirectly, so that makes a lot of sense. There were some alternatives available. He could have gone over here, controlling the city cap. He also could have gone over here, pre-building a 3-point road and controlling the road, but he decides to take the immediate points. I know Nallerheim with a monastery of his own. So will he go here to just make the highest scoring move available to support his road a little bit, or will he go here to reduce the variance, given that he is the player with a slight advantage as the starting player? He might want to just go here and not allow red to stack monasteries easily. This is actually quite a common advanced early game tactic where you sacrifice a couple of points, but you place your monastery next to your opponent's monastery just so that they do not draw another one for themselves. And this is exactly what Otto does. Red here invade green's road. Green now is probably going to build up this city, or maybe start a new one over here. Yeah, exactly, of course, following the principle of 2 cities. Red now very efficient with the points, scores 2, leaves the city cap open, with the idea that if the city cap is taken by either player, this will expose a vulnerability in this monastery square. Hi Sergey, hi Hugo, hi GR Nunez, hi Paulo Verde, hi Glovier. Yeah, how do you react to this if you're the Finn? So my first thought is that we actually take the city cap anyway, albeit reluctantly. On the other hand, in some scenarios we get as many as 3 meeples blocked. So let's say we go here, then red gets something like a Dorito, they go over here, now we have only 3 tiles left into this square, and we're gonna see it right now, this is gonna be so interesting. He's gonna go here, yeah, he's gonna try and block the cities. I think it's a bit of an imprecision. I would have preferred blocking the other city, but it's whatever. It's actually completely symmetrical, basically. And this is now super hard to defend because this here city square is just painful. And Nallerheim just finishes his city, braces for impact, but RabbitRain does not get a blocking tile over here. Instead, he just keeps scoring, tries to be very efficient. 4 points ahead on the scoreboard. Will Otto be able to protect his city? And yes, he will be able to do so partially. Of course, he restricts this here square, does not allow RabbitRain to draw this here tile and block 3 of the green meeples at once. I presume a city cap will be picked off at the top. And this level players try to be very efficient with their tiles in their opening. But RabbitRain's thinking about this because this time they actually can afford this. So they choose to break this city even further, which honestly I don't really like. I would have preferred a move like this. I would have definitely way more preferred a move like this if I'm the Japanese player, since if I'm about to block all these meeples, then my opponent needs to spend a bit more resources here on defense. This gives me more time to try and build some cities here. And the idea of breaking the city, of course, is nice, but if you do succeed with your triple block idea, then this further breakage will not even be necessary. Alright, so a new city is being indirectly started on the left. Red figures they can't really meeple the city because there are certain tiles that can be added here that would connect the city to a blocked square. And Red really wants to be the blocker rather than the blockee. In this encounter, Otto, of course, meeples a monastery, tries to be efficient with scoring, equalizes the monastery of Red, whilst also preserving the chances of developing this, and he saves himself, so the gamble has paid off. There are now 2 tiles remaining that fit into the square for a 75% chance of completing this here monastery. This city will turn into a threat, and now Green just has a better position than Red. However, there are still plenty of chances for Red. One is that Red's going to have a good position if Green takes a long time, or possibly forever, to draw the tile that fits into this square, and another alternative is just to simply try and build some juicy points on the left, which is exactly what he's trying to do. There's a shit city with 2 shielded tiles. The shields are very much something that make the city much better than what I inadvertently called it. And Otto cannot really do much about it. He's probably going to need to go here and start breaking it, or maybe go here and start breaking the little one whilst preserving the chances to connect to this here city, or do something else entirely, like going over here, sharing the road points. It does not appear to be super productive since this guy's scoring 2, this guy's scoring 3, so that will be only a net 1 point gain. Could go also here, starts a new road, try to be extremely aggressive with scoring, and I believe that in this position it would be a little bit too extreme. However, it is quite appealing trying to build this 8-point road, especially since we know that our opponent is trying to go here and take this road himself upon the completion of their monastery. So the block indeed is a decision. Well, it's a restriction rather than a block. At least 2 more tiles will need to follow to hinder this city further. Red now has a choice whether to continue the city and make it more easily completable, but also more easily invadable from this side as a trade-off, or just play a standard move here, keep the square closed, wait for a city plus road tile like a starting tile, and just go here and continue building his other city. The latter option is what I would prefer, but let's see if he has some other ideas, maybe going over here, for example, trying to break this bottom city further, as it is a little bit of a threat, or it will become one when Green draws a Dorito tile like this. Let's see what the Japanese player does here. Hi, Andy. Hi, E. Townsend. Hi, Juan Alvarez. The game is as equal as it gets. We're in the first game and the score is 8-8. Of course, many sensitive areas. Here, a little bit of here, lots of tension in this position, lots of unresolved issues. Yeah, the time control is pretty interesting. So the time, due to some technical issues in Board Game Arena, the organizers of the Champions League made the decision to switch the default time controls from 15 minutes without increment to a 4-minute time bank and 45-second increments, which actually gives players more times per turn, but they deprive them of the option to save the time for later and have like a 6-7 minute endgame calculation. And we can see that both players, and especially RabbitRain, are taking full advantage of this situation, as RabbitRain is now spending more than a minute per move, and they decide to make a move different from the one which I expected. They actually do expose the city to attack, but they figure that they want to just finish it faster. This is quite interesting. It is not what I expected at all. I would be quite curious to hear RabbitRain's thoughts on this. Somebody please screenshot this position and submit it to topcarcassonner.com as a puzzle. Yeah, so Nallerheim's now thinking whether to go over here or not. Well, I don't think this is what he's truly thinking about. He's thinking whether it's worth meepling this road. And I think this will be a little bit too much. I think we actually have to keep that empty. There are some scenarios where we might need that extra meeple in hand, and this road could be a little bit vulnerable, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Finnish master chooses the hyper-greedy approach today, which is a little bit greedier than what he normally does. So this is definitely prep. If he meeples this road, like, he doesn't do this sort of stuff against anybody else. He might figure that maybe against an aggressive scorer he has to respond in kind. He chooses not to do that. I agree with that assessment. And red now has a Dorito tile and a pretty easy move here. I don't think we ever bother continuing our city because it would make it more vulnerable to invasion. This city would not become more vulnerable, but it would be only the addition of 2 points. I think the clear best choice here is to go at the bottom, invade the most threatening asset of green at the moment, and also start attacking this here square, which could be used for a 5-point road and a continuation of green's here city on the right. So this is the move that I expect. I have already been surprised a couple of times in this game, and red is now running out of time. Only 17 seconds remaining. Of course, they will get their replenishment, but the time rules are pretty strict. If they go under 0, then they're gonna lose this game, and they chose to do something completely different. It appears that it's gonna work. I have no idea why they chose to do it right now. I mean, the move looks powerful, like this blocking idea to try and break these here squares and block 3 monasteries of green. This, of course, would be exceptionally painful for green, but like that? With a city tile? I don't know. And it proved to be successful. Apparently, the Japanese master had calculated that there were many tiles like this still in the deck. The city plus road tiles. And we see how the non-standard approach here pays off. So if you want to block, the standard move, of course, here is to go like this, to give yourself many road tiles as a blocking. Like this one, for example, but this also would have given Nallerheim more defense options. And I thought that these monasteries might end up blocked, but this square is certainly not what I thought as a dangerous one. So the Japanese master with a little bit of inspiration there, and now green's position is exceptionally difficult. They're 3 meeples down, with only a little bit of compensation, and they now need to work towards developing this city at the bottom. I think this is probably the path of Otto back into this game, trying to just get some points and a meeple back. A monastery is a great tile normally, but actually he does not get to use it anywhere productive. RabbitRain scores the 5 points for this here road. Probably going to see... Oh, that's actually a nice find. I was thinking going over here, maybe trying to block further, but the idea of this move, of course, is to save this here square, to preserve the chances of this here 3-point meeple, to develop through that square into an 8, 9, 10-point meeple. Yeah, when you're so short on meeples, you have to take every chance you can get for scoring. And this includes developing ruins. Oh, that's a great point, Gulvier. So the idea of this orientation is that if Otto gets himself a defense tile, then he has to choose between invading Red City here and saving his own meeples, and he would probably choose saving his own meeples. So this move, the main purpose of it was not so much to block the square, even though it was successful. It was basically to indirectly increase the chances of quickly finishing this here city by diverting Green's attention to this here area. Yeah, this is the kind of Carcassonne that I want to watch. Alrighty, so we have ourselves a starting tile as Green. A RabbitRain with his last move pre-builds a road, like tries to go over here for 5 points. And if you're Otto, maybe this is where you want to take a gamble. Maybe you actually want to go here and try to block that square. There will be still one starting tile remaining, but hey, it's just one. If you just win one coin flip, you can probably win this game. Then later you can go here, block this square toward the starting tile. Then from Green's perspective, I was going to say, I think I might have done this. Yeah, precisely because RabbitRain just now gets a very, very good tile for himself. He's now going to go over here, build himself an 8-point road. But the reason why I kind of like this idea is because from Green's perspective, there's a high chance that he might need another starting tile anyway, because there's some scenarios how it would have gone in this square. In this here scenario, if he gets blocked, there's some many lines where he needs a starting tile already for this here square. And so if Green needs a starting tile already in the future, potentially, he might as well double down on that need and extract something from it. So I think maybe a missed chance for Otto. He's kind of playing a bit more standard Carcassonne right now, whereas given that he's behind, maybe he should have taken a greater gamble. Now trying to block the city of Red, which is a very nice idea, of course. Red gets a monastery. Daniel is asking, why not have the right top city facing right top? I don't think... Oh, this one. Oh, yeah, we covered this. We covered this. It was actually a very, very subtle decision. If you're just joining, then maybe rewind the stream some 5-10 minutes and you'll see the answer. Well, a monastery for a rabbit here. I wonder what we do with this. Is it worth me playing? Like, how does me playing a monastery help our winning probability? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe we just go here and we try to develop a bigger field with some tiles like this. We need not to be worried by creating a monastery hole because 2 road monasteries have gone out. Yeah, and this is exactly what he does. He already goes with the farmers straight away, which also makes a lot of sense. Eventually, there are going to be road tiles in this here area. It's going to be a 9-point field with 3 completed cities on it and 2 potential more cities on the way. Powerful stuff by the red player. Yeah, now this here is blocked, which also, like, which again is why I would have loved this move over here, because if you really want your opponents to rely on the starting tile in all places, you might as well add another one. We can see the development of the field, of course. A bit surprised by the choice of square. I think I would have gone here first and gotten a straight line later. But the idea behind this move is that there's still 3 vanilla city cap tiles which are going to go here for field expansion. And the straight lines RabbitRain was going to use for the extension of this here road, which of course has been disrupted by green. Red now makes a very subtle move, actually, trying to make it more difficult for Nallerheim to score these 3 points and create this here blocking threats, and this kind of pays off as green chooses to score in a different area. Another straight line. Would have completed this here row, but of course was very wise from green to block this. Green now takes quick points, now is climbing back, climbing truly back. This here city is all but blocked. This here is very close to being blocked. However, green is suffering on this part of the board as red gets the shielded tile and connects this here meeple through all these here tiles to this here blocked guy. However, from green's perspective, there's still one splitter tile, which goes either here, in combination with a city cap, or here, in combination with a bunch of tiles to finish a giant monstrosity. In the meantime, players exchange quick points. Red gets a meeple back. 12 points ahead on the scoreboard. Nallerheim now with a severe deficit is now trying to find something creative. And what exactly does he do here? Maybe here. Maybe actually we just start a new city like this. Possibly without a meeple even. And we just try to bank on the splitter tile. There are a lot of things that will need to occur in this game in order to the play of the green meeples to come back. And I think if I'm Otto, what I'm trying to do here, first I want to close the position. I want to draw some sort of a road tile to go over here and try to block this square that would really hinder the expansion of this here farm. Then if I actually block this guy, then it becomes even lower scoring than the amount of white blocked monastery, so this is quite nice. And then the second thing that I want to do, I want to drop a starting tile. I want to get a starting tile because this here is a big threat. I don't really have enough time to block any of these meeples, so I just have to get the starting tile myself. And then now I have to think, other than the starting tile, can I win this game by drawing the minimum number of necessary tiles possible? And that's why green is hesitating to go here, because it's kind of committing himself to having to draw a splitter in order to win. He might have to do this, which means that there will be 2 key tiles that he has to draw, the splitter and the starting tile. Maybe there's a way to win without the splitter. I'm not sure. You see, we could just go here right now and start a little counter field without a meeple, then try to get some city caps to score points and definitively block the square. This would all be very nice. But then if we do draw the splitter, it would really not be great for us to draw it unprepared. Because imagine we don't go here right now, and the splitter is our next tile. Well, then we cannot go here. We cannot go here and create the threat of the completion of this here city, because a curve descends here for a permanent block of this here area, and this is just something that we cannot live with. So yeah, some dilemmas here for the play with the green meeples. He chooses not to do it. I'm a bit surprised. I would have done it, but I don't think it's going to matter as red gets himself a starting tile. He has his choice of options right now. Never has a Sophie's choice actually been so pleasant. He can either save this meeple, get 4 points extra, a meeple back, create a second field for 6 points that he can claim, or he could go over here and get many more points and even drop a second farmer. The downside of this would be giving back a meeple for green to play with. I think he might opt to go for the points. It is a lot of points indeed. However, my preference is probably to just keep everything a little bit cleaner and take the continued meeple advantage, which also still comes with points. So let's see how the Japanese master converts their advantage. I can see opinions are split in the chat. Some say I like points, some say I like meeples. Of course, we need to remember that meeples do convert to points at the end of the game. I think it's a matter of calculation, but if things are more or less equal, then I probably prefer taking the meeple there, because just giving a meeple back to green adds a little bit more variance to the game. It now creates some scenarios where maybe they win the game if they just draw an obscene number of scoring tiles. Now that I think about it, there actually are not that many scoring tiles remaining. So there are no monasteries, and there's just one crossroads. There's a couple of road ends in the form of horses, but that's about it. So those are 2-point tiles. There are 2 straight lines, of course, that go here. So this could be a 5-point road with 2 moves. Yeah, look at this. So the Japanese player takes the points, drops a second farmer, gives the meeple back to Nallerheim, but it is just going to be still exceptionally painful. I think probably if you're the Finnish player, you don't think about this one too hard. You can make natural moves on the off chance that you draw some good tiles. You probably have half a percentage points of win probability here. I don't think it's even a full 1%. Okay, maybe it is like 1 or 2%, yeah. Because we still have some... Oh no, Otto! Oh no, yes, Otto. Yes, Otto. Yeah, that's a good move. We don't need a meeple back now, because our opponent now gave a meeple back now. So now that the city has been finished, green sees his situation as dire, and he wants to finish this here city. Yeah, this looks like a good idea. Something that could have been done on the last move, but actually this is a better edition of it, because had this tile gone over here, then there would be this scoring opportunity for either side, whereas now it's kind of just a clean blank green square. Green uses his meeple to invade one of these here cities, and of course he would love to get some sort of a blocking tile against this here square just to not allow Otto to get a splitter. Otto now could finish the city, but he is not going to do this, I guarantee you this, because he cannot afford such things. He's going to go here, score 3 points, and leave not 1 but 2 features for scoring, and he's just going to try and bully his opponent with quick points, anticipating getting blocked over here. So this here is the move of a player who's still trying to win, and exactly this happens despite the time trouble. Also, very instructive moment. You want to play a little bit abnormally here in a situation where you're this far behind. Well, red does get a scoring tile, but with that they get a little bit of a dilemma. So do they take the points and risk green getting a splitter, or do they actually sacrifice the points and go over here, which leaves green the opportunity to score these points? And this is why I like this move so much, because it poses this dilemma here for the Japanese player who has 30 seconds left in their time bank. So, 18 seconds, 17 seconds. A decision needs to be made. I expect a low variance move here from the Japanese player. No, he chooses to greedily take the points, giving Otto one final chance. He does not get the splitter, but a scoring tile is a scoring tile. 3 points are 3 points. Of course, he's going to take them. And a curve descends into that place. The block is complete, and the dream now is truly over. This game was winnable. This game was winnable before this tile descended here. Now, I just don't think there really is anything. If I'm Otto, I think I just take the quick point somewhere. Probably here, maybe. Yeah, I kind of want to go here to create some chances of blocking this here square, not allowing the extension of my opponent's field. Then I want to go here with a curve. And then I want to unify my opponent's field so that they score only 12 points with 2 meeples. RabbitRain now gets the penultimate Dorito and builds up his side of the blocked city. The juicy fat contour of my drawings was an accident, but it is appropriate for the situation. And you know, just to rub it in what could happen, a splitter still goes over here. Okay, now it's actually a bit too small. To separate this here teeny tiny small city from this here juicy fat monstrosity. Otto now chooses to fight for a big ruin. He's going absolutely all in with this. His idea is to draw one Dorito over here, another Dorito, a road Dorito like this, but there's still one more in the deck, so don't worry about this. In this here area, win himself a ruin for 15 points, finish the city for 4, score some quick points and try to win the game that way. That could technically still work, I guess. RabbitRain can now go here, block the square, not allow the unification of the fields. He could also go here, pre-build a 5-point road, which actually is not in his interest, because there's some scenarios how green gets a meeple back and then scores the 5-point road himself. Yeah, quite curious as to how red chooses to convert his advantage here. RR with 30 seconds on their clock. I actually don't know what the move here is. I think maybe I would have preferred this. I think it's a rather nice idea, trying to just pre-build a 4-point road and also protecting this here square in case I get to expand my farm a little bit. I think that would have been nice. Otto now, of course, is going to go here. He's just going to recount all the tiles, but this is the move to play. You want to protect the square, and you need the one and only field Dorito on this here square, so of course you need to save up the road Dorito for this here square. So I have no doubt as to which move is going to be played, but Otto is just going to take some tiles for recounting the tiles. Some time for recounting the tiles. Yes, nice idea, Juan. He could have pre-built a 5-point road as well. I think he was concerned of Nallerheim getting a meeple back and then getting the road for himself. So a 4-point road is a little bit safer in that regard. And we do see green protecting his city. RabbitRain now has an interesting choice between just pursuing some blocking ideas and going further here, or developing his field in this indirect but very potent way, preparing one of the 2 city caps that fit into the square. Yeah, and he goes for exactly that. Otto with a scoring tile going to continue his here city. And a city cap for RabbitRain, an extremely powerful move, giving 3 new cities for his field and 4 points extra. Nallerheim now has no choice but to just try and eliminate the second farmer, but these guys will still be scoring a total of 18 points together, something extremely painful to deal with. And so now Otto's best tile sequences are, we go here, we get a splitter, we get a meeple back, we get a Dorito, we get this here guy, and on our last turn, we get a vanilla city cap, and we go here and score a 6-point farm, like this. So we get a vanilla cap for this here square exactly. So there is still a powerful scoring sequence for Nallerheim. whilst RabbitRain draws one of his 2 outs for connecting to the city at the bottom. But then just some quick points are going to happen. Oh, that is actually really neat. Because now Otto needs multiple city caps, 2 city caps to finish his city. And he can only have 1. And normally you don't want to be making moves like this when you're ahead, because there is still a chance how your opponent can draw 2 city caps. But the point is, who is better than a rabbit to illustrate the Dirichlet principle, right? That Otto now needs 4 tiles, this, and he only had 3 slots, so he's bound not to draw one of the tiles, and the one which he is not drawing is this one, and I must have miscounted the vanilla city cap somehow. Oh yeah, so then this was a way easier decision then. And yeah, RabbitRain wins this one in style, just absolute exceptional performance, and I can't really fault Otto for much. The one move, like one imprecision that I think I do disagree with, is that with this starting tile, we could have gone over here, we could have prevented this here road, but this road was only worth like 5 points. It was a 6-point move, so it's not really that important, it seems. It's really mostly the creativity of RabbitRain, some very non-standard decisions. Obviously this here blocky situation over here, which ended up not working for green. But mostly this here city, it's like the strangest move I've seen in a while, but it ended up working so well. And again, he sacrificed some of his blocking probabilities by this here orientation to make sure that in the event Otto gets a defense tile, he's distracted from the completion of this here red city. In the end, red got the best possible outcome and had his cake in e2. So, yeah, Nallerheim is going to need to get extra creative now for game 2 to try and counter this. And RabbitRain is now going to be the starting player, because with this here time format, the starting player will be alternating. And we're headed straight into the second game with no break. RabbitRain is now 1 game away from crossing the 800 elo threshold again. Nallerheim a few games away from descending, and deja vu as the same starting tile is drawn in the form of the crossroads. Of course, this time it is red who gets to have it. Green immediately with the standard response. Me playing a road and trying to limit this here city cap. And now very curious to see what's RabbitRain's theory on this, and he makes the standard move, which is just simply help your opponent's road but take the 4 points. Low variance approach, completely justifiable, as doing anything else would have been a little bit unpleasant in outcome for the play with the red meeples. Now green gets to continue his road and start a new city here, unless he chooses to do something else. So basically, option 1, we go here, which is the highest scoring move, and we also restrict this here square, which is kind of nice. Option 2 is this. Yeah, I do quite like this as well, where we go into a mini battle and we have this here open road like this. The disadvantage of that move, of course, is that we don't get to fully benefit from tiles like this. We don't actually get to continue our city now, but I can understand the idea here that we want for our opponent not to benefit from road tiles. However, given the fact that there was still a road end available, maybe starting a new city would have been a little bit more desirable, but you only know it when you draw the tile in question. Ouchie, ouchie. Otto finds himself in a difficult opening now, actually. It's an unpleasant tile to play, and I think the move that he needs to find is actually this. He does not want to do it. He just wants to build up a different shape of a city, and now RabbitRain will invade. But I wonder if, like, going over here and exploring this option would have been quite interesting, and basically just trying to race his opponent for one of the 2 key squares. Basically saying that I'm going to fill this before you get to fill this and I get to block you. the probabilities are not there, but it's actually quite close to a 50-50, that idea. Alright, so extender tile for the rabbits. I presume they want to just make a standard invasion move. I mean, their position is great. 4 points ahead. First monarch of the game, starting player advantage. What more could you wish for? Like, just by invading the city, despite the fact that it's kind of unappealing, is a way to preserve your advantage and minimize variance. I doubt there's anything else. And literally any other placement of the tile hurts you. If you go over here, you have this here vulnerable square. I don't like this move. I don't like this move at all. I cannot possibly see how it can be correct in that position. With look, we saw of course some genius, brilliant moves from RabbitRain in game number 1, but I just really failed to see the genius of this move. Like, it just makes a vulnerable square for no reason. It adds variance, because there are lines where green just starts drawing city tiles and red gets road tiles and doesn't do nothing. So this appears to be just a higher variance approach than we need. I know that his idea is that eventually he wants to go here and like finish a city like this for 6 points, whilst also having a square for his monastery, but it just doesn't really work. Like, one thing that he does not maybe take into account is these here starting tiles. There's only one of those starting tiles remaining, so a square like this is much more vulnerable than normal. And Otto now has his sweet pick of choices between doing something like this, trying to attack over here, or continuing his own city, which honestly would not have been that bad, or doing something else entirely, like going over here, which is also quite interesting because it sets up a pre-block where you like finish your city with a dagger and you draw your opponent's road into this hypothetical city tile. I think as green, my choice would have been to go over here, just to not allow moves which play against 2 of my squares on a board where one type of city plus road tile is almost exhausted. But let's see where this brings us. Of course, the idea was to create vulnerabilities, and maybe this is what we're going to see. We're going to see further vulnerabilities. Maybe we just go here and try to leave only 4 tiles that fit into this square. Maybe we go here with the idea of getting a curve, restricting here further, getting something like a road Dorito, restricting here further. Yeah, it could be quite interesting. There are some other alternatives, like we could go here, continue our city indirectly. However, I do not like that option since it sometimes results into helping out Red's road like this. And Otto goes for the restriction, start a new city in a different part of the board. Now kind of has 2 of these midterm project, pokes fun at this here square a little bit. Decreases the quality of the monastery square, because now if you're red, you are going to go here, but you're going to do so reluctantly because there's some blocking sequences against your 2 meeples, and we saw in the first game how much suffering the side with the blocked monasteries had to endure. Straight line now for red. Probably a standard move of starting a road at the bottom and restricting the city further. This would be my style of play, and I think this is consistent with RabbitRain styles of play, who is definitely, I think, more aggressive than other Japanese players even. Maybe here is also another option, trying to create a greater blocking threat against this here square. Here is also actually a really strong option, because not only does it delay the completion of this here square, by doing so it also delays the creation of a blocking platform against this here square. So whatever you do to hurt green's square, you also do to protect red's square. While red tries to create a further blocking platform, green proceeds with his plan at the top. Basically, there's some lines how we just get to sacrifice this meeple entirely, turn this into a ruin, and get some points on our scoreboard with a couple Doritos at the top. RabbitRain now with the perfect tile. There is one star play here. You go over here, start a new city, and you pre-build a 6-pointer next to your own monastery, which only you can claim. Of course, this is exactly the move that is being played. Otto now is going to try and finish his city at the top. He will not bother saving this here square. He might want to go here and try and block this instead, but this Dorito tile is just too good. He can consolidate here. It's just way, way, way too good. This is where this tile truly belongs. We're now going to see red choose between starting a road and taking care of a road end, or going over here and creating some blocking platforms, or simply going over here and proceeding with his block. The blocking platform is the choice. Scoring tile for green now has a choice between 2 points at the expense of the safety of his city. Finishing the road over here at the expense of accidentally exposing this road end. He chooses for the latter, figures it's the least of two evils. RabbitRain now has a choice again. Either we finish our city and start a new one, or even drop a farmer perhaps, or we go over here and invade our opponent's city, but expose an empty city cap up for grabs. For the first time in this game, green is ahead on the scoreboard now. Lots of tension, lots of unclarity in this position. And going back to this is the reason why I didn't like this move. Now, the position of red is not bad, but the position is unclear. But before that, before all this stuff, red just had a clear advantage. Now, you know, we're going to find out in 5 or 10 tiles or so. Hailarpaattori. Rooting for his teammate, of course. Do let me know if you have Japanese viewers here. It must be actually not too late. I think it should be around 9 p.m. in Japan. No, 10 p.m. actually. If I remember correctly, that Japan is UTC +9. Yeah, something with this streaming makes you memorize all the time zones. And we see that red chooses not to expose an empty city cap. He wants to start a new city over here, and he allows Otto to cover up, which I do not think is such a big of a problem. Now red has a curve, which is a really good tile for him, actually. Has a great deal of options. So let's start listing them one by one. Option 1, we go here. We created this blocking platform, we might as well use it, leaving only one tile that fits into the square. I would probably prefer this. There's also an option of blocking this here square instead, by restricting this here square. Again, we're delaying the development of it, and we're delaying the creation of blocking platform against this here square, thus protecting our monastery. Also a powerful move to explore. Option 3, we go here or here, and try to create the attacking platform against this here city. I do not like moves like these unless the city is really, really big and is a must-win. I think from red's perspective, we can actually afford green completing this here city. And green drew the city completion tile anyway, so that's also quite an instructive example how we don't want to just spend tiles chasing around our opponent for no reason if we have something more productive to do. Now, Otto finishes the city and presumably drops a farmer here. I don't think it's a good idea to just take these city caps since there are so many of them already lying around. But he chooses to go for the city cap anyway, presuming that maybe RabbitRain could get something like a vanilla city cap. I can understand that. I can see where he's coming from. RabbitRain, however, with a great advantage as a result of this here monastery square. Now only one tile away from completing said monastery. Not very easy to do anything about this. Otto has now several good moves. Option 1, we just finish the city and get a meeple back, but this is not what this meeple is for. This meeple is for city plus field tiles, such as the extender, such as the parallel city caps and stuff like this. So he chooses to finish his city at the bottom, whilst also continuing, but not finishing the road of red. I like this decision. A third alternative was, of course, to go here and try to create a blocking square against this here area, but he figures he could go over here later as well. So, red is now minus 13 on the scoreboard. I still prefer red's position because of these here 2 monasteries and because the starting player advantage and because of this here blocked meeple. Red has enough meeple to do something good or bad, depending on your definition of these words, or rather, if you're Japanese or Finnish. This move, I do not fully understand. I really would have preferred something more standard, just like invade your opponent's city. I don't know what's the big deal about this. This move looks like it's preparing to build barricades around the field, where red hasn't even stepped foot yet, right? Because red is only on this here little field. The bigger part of the field could belong to green if he fills, any of these here squares. Green now goes atop, tries to take advantage of the newly placed city tiles there by red. Red now invades, but again, like with this here move, if red were to have drawn a road tile now, red could have already been in trouble. So, great, fantastic tile for Otto. 3 productive moves here. This is option 1, of course. Yeah, goes for the farm. I do quite like the farmer here with tempo. The disadvantage of this move is that it basically relinquishes the idea of completing this city by drawing the starting tile, but Otto figures that with 13 points on the board, it's not really his win condition. He's trying to just get early on the farm and, most importantly, block the square, which RabbitRain cannot do anything about. There were some alternatives. He could have scored 2 points over here whilst prolonging his city indirectly and also threatening the safety of Road of Red. Road of Red. Sounds like a name for a novel. Then maybe here for 2 points, trying to create a blocking square over here. This would not have worked. So this move ends up being actually the most productive option given the tile that RabbitRain has drawn. "40 seconds on the Japanese player's clock. So as predicted, Otto is spending a little bit less time due to his experience of playing online. Yeah, RabbitRain is now trying to figure out the best option here, and I think what we do here is we go here. We somewhat restrict this here square to make this part harder to block. Instead, he goes at the bottom and tries to block this here square permanently. Well, he does love drawing Doritos with the city tiles towards the blockable feature. This time, however, it is a rather standard move. It is indeed the most high prob blocking option, as they're the largest number. Basically, such a move with the city tile towards the blockable square on a board with an even tile runout allows the highest blocking tiles to defending tiles ratio. A road segment that way is the second best, and a field segment that way is the third best. Normally, of course. This position is rather normal in that regard, and it's even better because some of the city plus road tiles which can defend that square have gone out. Anyway, so now 2 quick points here for the Finnish player is what we're probably going to see. Several ways how to go about this. I think there's one option which is very, very standard and stands out to me. I want to go here and just create a little bit of a threat against this here square. But I know why he does not want to do that, and that's because if red draws one of the 5 remaining straight lines, he just goes over here and not only protects his monastery towards one of the 6 remaining curves, but also drops a farmer and efficiently invades with 2 meeples against 1. I would not maybe be too concerned about this because it also does some good things. Yeah, exactly. And Otto pulls the trigger on it after all. It creates this here loop road, which only we can benefit. It's and in case of the field invasion, we can also go here and reinvade. And look at RabbitRain. Now it's a decision. If it's a straight line, it's an easy move to go over here. But with a curve, do we just finish the monastery directly and just get a meeple back? Or do we go for that efficient farming idea, going over here and waiting for another curve to go over here? Or do we go for something even more extreme, going over here like this, dropping a farmer and waiting for one of the 2 road monasteries? Red chooses to stay conservative here and just take the position with a slight disadvantage on the scoreboard. -6, now -9 as Otto keeps munching on quick points, multiple moves in a row. Now a great scoring tile for Rabbit here, but several options. Do we even use it for scoring? Of course, we could take the 4 points over here, or we could finish the road and start a new city, or we could go over here and preserve a 75% chance of completing this here city, and he even chooses to drop a farmer. This is the very, very committal play. Now, it's not bad. It is very high expected value, but it is extremely high variance. With only 2 tiles remaining into the square, he is basically allowing himself a 25% chance to lose the game. If he gets neither of these dagger tiles, well, he just sacrificed the points. His monastery trapped anyway. This guy's trapped for 0, max 3 points. But Otto, of course, is going to not wait for such a joyful occasion for himself. He figures that from his perspective, he has a 75% chance of losing this here big setup. Actually, it's something that he should be very, very careful about, because if Red successfully invades, it's not just the farm, it is a 6-point city, 9-point monastery, and a meeple back. So Red will be ahead again. Green now, however, with a wonderful tile for himself, trying to block the square and also continue this here city. Of course, now nearly impossible to complete. It needs a starting tile, horse, couple of Doritos, and a dagger to do so. Now, stranger things have happened in Carcassonne, but I do not think, knowing Green's style and also knowing his position objectively, that he will prioritize the completion of the city. He won't. He will just try to keep parity, score some points, make sure that he will have some compensation for his blocked meeple, for the future meeple disadvantage that he's going to have upon Red drawing this tile, and just try to maybe win the field, or at least tie the field. Red, in the meantime, continues his road, preparing its completion. There's still 3 tiles that fit into this square. Otto now is in a position to take advantage of this here city cap. I would be looking to do that. I would be a little bit concerned about the fact that some of the city plus road tiles have gone out, but hey, 8 points are 8 points are 8 points. A shield is a shield is a shield, and on this dry-ish board with a rather small field that we're fighting for, 8 points on the scoreboard can make the difference between winning and losing. Yeah, so the importance of scoring points in Carcassonne actually is not the same. It differs from board to board. And on a board like this, scoring contributes more to your winning probability than maybe on an open board with a giant farm, or on a closed board with a giant ruin, with some sort of a game decisive feature. Alrighty, so Otto now chooses to score in a slightly different manner. which honestly is probably a stronger move than what I had imagined. Yeah, because he starts a new farm for 6 points. It's now 9 points. It could develop into something stronger, and he is also creating the blocking chance against this here square. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful move, and so far it's paying off as green is 3 points ahead on the scoreboard. RabbitRain with a scoring tile could take 2 points in a number of locations. Probably this one's a little bit better to curtail the development of green's field a little bit. He could also, I don't know what, go here? Nah. He could also be a little bit crazier and start a new city over here. But I do not think that's the best move either. Yeah, there's a lot of subtleties behind the choice of the scoring decisions. Like, whenever a top player is scoring 2 points for a road, instead of just taking a random place, they try to pick a place which shapes the board to their liking, albeit in a marginal way, because all this translates to little fractions of accumulating win percentages. The one main thing that all competitive Carcassonne players are fighting for the duration of the game, whether they do it consciously or not. Andy is saying this commitment was too early, I think, about this here farmer. I'm not sure about it. It's quite interesting. That's one way to play a game. And certainly this commitment shows, I think, a lot of respect to his opponent against Otto. Because if I'm playing against somebody who's rated like 500, 600, I'm probably not going to make a move like this. Because a 75% probability is not good enough for me, given that like a normal winning record against somebody who's rated around like 600-ish would be 80% of the time for somebody who's like rated 800, 850. But here, like, Rabbit realizes that he's playing even against a technically high-rated player and somebody who is definitely at his level. So 75% to win the game, or if not to win the game, actually, or at least to get a advantage which is quite close to decisive, even if it translates to like a 60% winning probability. It may look pretty good in his position. I don't think I would have done that. I think I would have still preferred kind of the more traditional route with scoring, try to allow myself getting blocked, allow this guy getting blocked, play a balanced game. But I've seen RabbitRain make these go win or go home plays quite often, and when you're the favorite, probability-wise, it appears to be not such a bad choice. Well, so far it maybe appear as a bit of less great of a choice, as RabbitRain does not draw the first dagger. The first one is drawn by Nallerheim, who used it to clean off the city cap and bring his point advantage to a 15-point move on the scoreboard, a 15-point advantage on the scoreboard. RabbitRain now with a monastery, and now we're going to see how crazy actually they are. A move which is super tempting for me is to go over here and place some meeple on the 6-point monastery and hope for the 50-50 chance of the recovery of my meeple, but he chooses not to do that. He just drops a farmer and invades over here. Which means that his idea is that he just wants to still rely on this tile. I think he has truly accepted that there's no winning the game unless he gets one of these here daggers. And yeah, we'll just see what happens as a result of it. Otto now connects on the top and has the majority on the upper field. He can start a new city somewhere. He has meeples, whereas his opponent doesn't. It's mainly this here area which is problematic. With this here move, Red managed to successfully defend it, but not fully. If Green draws the road monastery, then instead of meepling a monastery or scoring points, he'll probably gonna go over here for 0 points, but permanently block the square, since the quadruple crossroads has already gone out. But even if he doesn't do anything, there are only 3 tiles that fit into this square. So statistically, Red is of course the favorite a big favor to draw one of those tiles, but he is likely to do that rather late, when the newly recovered meeple might not have that much of an impact on the game anymore. In the meantime, Green is thinking whether to deploy this new city cap at the top in what's currently his field, maybe even thinking of finishing the field, finishing the city, dropping a farmer, and getting the third meeple just in case. Or he could do the same in the bottom field, going over here, finishing the city and dropping a farmer like this, and just getting a field majority somewhere. But I think one of these two moves is what the Finnish master will settle for. Kind of difficult for me to imagine anything else, really. So let's see in a minute or less how this progresses. And he just drops the city cap, which is quite interesting. I don't like this. Like, you have a meeple. Why no place meeple? I don't get this. Maybe he's afraid of a quadruple city tile, perhaps? I think this must be his concern, because there's still three big city tiles left for city breaking. So his plan is to be more patient. His plan is to first score points and then drop a farmer like this, perhaps. RabbitRain now scores 2 points, which surprises me, because knowing the Rabbity player, I would have anticipated a move like this, maybe just meepling the long road and trying to finish the long road. I don't think it would have been correct, but it would have been something interesting, something that I sometimes expect from a player this aggressive. Curvy tile for the Finnish master. Not many good places to use it. Well, he could have started a 4-point road like this, if not for this city cap over here. The city cap actually annoys this road a great deal. If we go here, our opponent takes the points, then we get blocked. Quite unpleasant. So instead, he decides to start blocking this here field entrance, and RabbitRain takes away not the kind of dagger that he wanted, but he gets 4 points nonetheless. But the final dagger in the hands of the Finnish master and the hopes of our Japanese fans for this game is here. Nothing will fit into the square anymore. This monastery will be stuck at 8. This farmer will be stuck at 0, or possibly a little bit more if he gets an extra tile over here. But this won't solve the problem of the meeple minority, of the disadvantage on the scoreboard, and of the field minority in this here area. So I believe Otto should convert this. Now, we've seen the technique of RabbitRain, how he delivered a winning position without any hiccups. How is Otto going to do this? And he just getting to overfarm. I'm not sure if that's the cleanest way to do things. Maybe it isn't, but it should probably do the trick. RabbitRain, however, with the best tile possible, taking 2 points, 6 points extra, a meeple back, and also a chance to invade the field at the bottom. Otto now with a straight line cannot use it as a road, and that's why I would have maybe liked it here. But now we don't have meeples anymore. Kind of interesting how tides have turned, how we used to have meeples and now we don't. Still not a big concern. He's trying to invade over here, but I'm a bit skeptical about this. That field is not big enough to be worthy of such grand investments, and I think RabbitRain now has some winning chances. So there are plenty of ideas. First of all, we draw one of the 3 city caps to go over here. We score 4 points, we connect the farmer. Then we try to score a little bit more to just win some more points. And then maybe the field at the top is not so big, and we can invade the field at the bottom. For example, we can go here, drop a farmer, invade through here. That is not such a terrible field attacking platform, especially if we can draw the straight lines before that, if we can exhaust the deck of blocking tiles. Of course, Otto is not going to invade over here. He instead going to build up his ruin. This is very nice for him to have this here scoring machine. RabbitRain uses this tile to break the city on the left, which is good for green because red could have used it here for scoring instead. Green now can just build up his side of the ruin, and this is why having ruins is powerful, because you can build them. So he's gonna go here, and green will have scored 5 points in just 2 moves. In a board like this, it is an amazing option. RabbitRain, however, will now finally get himself a meeple back, and with that, some chances in his game. There is still a road monastery remaining and a couple of road ends, which allow 2 things. First of all, it allows building roads, and second, it allows invading farmers. So I can certainly see a situation where this farmer stays an insurance farmer and never gets connected, and on the penultimate tile, RabbitRain goes here with a crossroads, drops a farmer like this, and with the last tile gets a road monastery, scores 8 points for this road, and connects over here all the way through the outside, and even has a meeple to reinvest in some further projects if there's still a move to be played in this game. So red, for the first time in a very long time, is now ahead on the scoreboard. Green now needs to be a little bit worried, despite the fact that they are ahead overall. They have the 12-point farm, they have the Greater Ruin, they have the 3-point farmers and insurance. I think if you're green, you just take away the worst case scenario, you go over here, and you deprive your opponent of field invasion opportunities. Yeah, because imagine if red draws some sort of a city cap, maybe a rose. They can go here and invade like that and like that at the same time and score 8 points for the city, but green sees no danger. Green chooses to connect further into the field, losing themselves 3 points. And this is a very conservative move. It sort of anticipates some shenanigans with the road and the monastery that I was talking about. It does not allow the invasion. But then green still has plenty of losing opportunities if red just ignores the field at the top and focuses on the field at the bottom, as well as some scoring options. Yeah, so you know what now red can do? Red can still go for monastery shenanigans if they take any kind of road end here and just meeple the road for 7 points, and then get the road monastery to finish it and just uses a 6-point monastery tile. Nallerheim, however, with some quick points. RabbitRain setting up a fields connection on the left. He's now could use it actually. Could go over here, drop a farmer, get himself the 12 points on the left. Instead, he's going to go for points. Otto now should go here, should probably sacrifice a point. He should probably disallow his opponent any farm invasions. There's still 2 vanilla city caps, and I'm a bit concerned that something could go here, a farmer could go here, and both vanilla city caps could complete an 8-point city, as well as a field invasion for my opponent. So, Nallerheim's making a decision. It's basically between blocking and 1 point. I don't think there's anything else. There is maybe some merit into blocking this monastery square, but not really. It's a bit short on the clock. Needs to do some counting. I also wonder, does he have perfect awareness of the tiles? Now, of course, he has immense experience, but he's completely not immune from miscounting. He has done this on multiple occasions. And all this here play is actually indicative of someone who thinks that there's still 1 dagger left in the deck. And Otto does in fact go for blocking opportunities, but instead of blocking the farmer, he blocks the road shenanigans that I was talking about. So now this whole idea of getting a long road and a monastery is now no longer possible. It's a bit interesting that Otto chose not to meeple this road. I think it wasn't a crazy idea to spend his last meeple, but he figures that he can still score more than 7 points with his last meeple, since there's still a couple of quick point tiles remaining in the deck. There's one horse for scoring 2 points, there is one crossroad tile for scoring 2 points, and one more crossroad tile for scoring 2 points, and of course monastery for scoring 7 or even more. Red, now with a city tile, has a variety of options there. Option 1, we go over here and we invade, and we hope that our opponent does not have a blocking tile, for which we actually do have a good chance, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's still 2 straight lines remaining, and if our opponent gets a straight line and goes over here, it still leaves us the 2 vanilla city caps to invade the city from this here side. So I will not be surprised if we see an immediate farmer over here, or the Japanese master might have an alternative win condition by just trying to finish a 10-point city by getting a bunch of city caps in this here area. This, of course, has the disadvantage of effectively being a 7-point city, given that we'll be losing 3 points since this is in our opponent's field. Red has over a minute to still ponder this, giving green time to think during the time of red, which he now absolutely has to be doing, frantically counting tiles and points. The last starting tile in the deck is what it is in RabbitRain's hands. I'm not sure if it is exactly relevant. On this board, this starting tile shape does not have a particular significance. Well, it has a little bit, actually, since nothing fits into this square anymore. This means that this here square is unblockable. So maybe, instead of going for the oh, an invasion like that. But it's not high prob enough. Maybe he figures that the invasion alone is not enough. He needs the invasion, the road monastery. He also needs to draw the road monastery to deny his opponent the scoring. And he also needs to have the city cap in the field so he can score 7 points for it. So maybe that is the logic. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is what this decision must have been based on, but this allows more blocking opportunities because Otto now can go over here. And if a road monastery is not drawn immediately, he can now go over here and box his people complete. The RabbitRain will now score the points over here. 4 points in the shared farm could be turned into 7 points in the unshared farm. Otto now needs to draw either the road monastery or some sort of blocking tile, which is basically almost every tile in the deck. Ah! I can see why RabbitRain might not want to go here. Because then, in case Otto has a straight line, Otto could go here and block. But if we don't go here, if we instead use this vanilla city cap over here, exactly, to set up an 8-point city, then Otto, first of all, will not be able to block his square, and even if he does, and of course he does, this is what he's going to do right now. I mean, this is what would any reasonable person with any sense of risk aversion would go, and boxing this meeple for 0 points. But a contingency plan from Rabbit's perspective is that now he can draw the vanilla city cap to score 8 points simply in the shared field. Brilliant, brilliant idea here again from the master. Otto now takes care of this situation with the crossroads. Red now is going to score 4 points somewhere. I don't know whether it's better to get them here or here. Maybe on the left is slightly better because it allows for invasion still. He chooses to do it that way. 6 point ahead on the scoreboard. Otto gets a crossroads. Excellent tile for him to just get some points over here. And I think RabbitRain now will not be able to invade anything, or at least anything of significance. He gets himself the 4 points. RabbitRain gets the perfect draw, gets the 8 point for himself. Otto gets the monastery for 7 points. And a variety of locations available. He could even go for a 7-point road if he chooses to be fancy. Oh, that's an 8-point road, actually. Yeah, we go for the 8-point road. So not here, but here for 8 points. 40 minutes to figure that out. I think just a mild calculation needs to be made. And RabbitRain can score 4 in a variety of ways on his last move. Probably prettier if you do it in the shared field, isn't it? And this is exactly what hath occurred. But who even won? Because RabbitRain got a lot of quick points towards the end. Otto got some. And he will have the field majority for 12. So yes, Otto will prevail in this one, but not by much. Only by 9 points. So this game ends up being quite tight. Otto investing heavily at the top and almost losing the field at the bottom. Nallerheim, RabbitRain with some brilliant endgame ideas, but now I'm wondering. So this here move, of course, was trying to draw the road monastery, but was there maybe a way of going over here, invading the field through the traditional route, which would have worked with the tile that he has drawn, and would that have been enough? And I think that could have been enough for the victory. Both sides have quick points for scoring, but RabbitRain would have had like some, I guess, 8 points extra compared to what he had in the game. Yeah, that's quite tricky. Anyway, Otto prevails in this one, and as predicted, we're headed into the decider. Yeah, very, very high-level game, but one thing that I do have to say, I think, really, RabbitRain just squandered his advantage by placing this here tile. I think this here opening was just a mistake, or at least an imprecision. Going for a high-variance position in a situation where you have a clear small advantage, you know, just playing for more and ended up winning less in a result. As a result, this just shows that even the top players are not immune to imprecisions and some dubious decisions. And this is what makes this game interesting. Nallerheim is the starting player, but gets the worst tile to begin with, the least impactful one, the curve standard move pointing outwards. RabbitRain with a bit of a non-standard response. So, of course, the idea of entering a mini battle is actually very good for you, trying to go against this here area. And the idea is that maybe the square gets blocked, we develop a big city, our opponent's road gets blocked, but a much stronger move, and one which is counterintuitive and took me a long time to figure out, but I'm really quite convinced about this, is the same move with this road end pointing leftward. And normally you might say, Alexey, but doesn't that expose a road end to your opponent? And I say yes, but that's a good thing, because if they go here and connect like this, then their road is capped at 5 points. Whereas if this square gets blocked, which is the main line in mini battles like this, then my opponent's road is already capped, but my city has endless potential. And in the event that we proceed with a standard build-up, like this, and like this, finishing the square, shared square, then we get the advantage from completing my city. So then it doesn't matter that green gets the road end, because we just have the advantage from completing my city. And we now see that, yeah, red of course builds up at the top and creates some threats, and he still does this, but it would have been just more effective had he done this the other way a little bit. Otto now threatening the completion of the city at the bottom. We see RabbitRain with the first monastery. And, makes a non-standard move, not going over here, not covering up. Very, very interesting decision here from RabbitRain, already steering the game into a type of position I'm just honestly not that familiar with. I can see some comments in the chat about the field battle toward the end. I don't think I have time for that, but I'll do my best to remember and address that later, after the end of this here match. So, Otto 6 points ahead. RabbitRain gets himself also some love on the scoreboard by finishing the city and pre-building monstrous monastery spots over here. For now, of course, green is doing well, but 2 more monastery tiles and green is lost, actually. Quite a high variance setup. Green cannot do nothing much except starting a new city, and this is exactly what he does. A decision which I wholeheartedly condone and endorse. Now red here with the curvy tile has a variety of options. He could go here, start breaking the city, or he could go here and create another monastery square for himself, or he could go lower variance and do something like this and finish this monastery with roads. But then why would you do that? It's early in the game. We go here, we drop a farmer maybe, or we at the very least meeple the road. We play our classic high scoring, high risk, high reward style. Maybe the Japanese player would be a bit psychologically influenced after his setup did not work last game. It was not a bad setup, and he is able to brush this off. We see a high variance move, but one which is just the highest on equity, right? So, for example, imagine if this here tile that Nallerheim just drew happens to be the tile of red. Red just going to go over here, do stuff like this. It's just going to be amazing. Alrighty. Green is building up a city of his own, which is actually huge for timing. Because now this monastery square is unusable unless we get the road monastery. Because if we get the regular monastery, we go over here, then our opponent gets a cow and blocks us. And nothing much that we can do about this. RabbitRain builds up his road. Nallerheim's going to finish the city and start a new one. Already be quite significantly ahead as a successful result of incorporating 2 shield in his city. Well, finally, red creates the threat of completing this here city. Nallerheim can do something about it if he so chooses, and I think he so chooses. I don't think we continue our road. I think we go here and try to create some threats. I really like this move because it creates threats against both of our opponent's key squares, and if our opponent finishes the city with a starting tile, then we already get to benefit from that road end. I think it is easily the best move, and the Finnish master will find this. He could also consider an alternative, and this is okay, but it's just not as strong as the alternative. He also could have gone here, for example, and dropped a farmer, just trying to anticipate red dropping a farmer of his own. But the field here is not really that dangerous. It's only 2 completed cities. Yes, a bunch of green squares, but plenty of invasion platforms in the future. So the only thing that red would be winning by dropping a farmer straight away is just simply some efficiency points, because he would not need to spend an additional tile for that. Dorito tile for RabbitRain, and this is the tile that he tends to treat most extravagantly. In both games, he made unpredictable moves with this here tile, and he does love doing this, right? He did the same thing, right? I don't get this. I mean, I get this a little bit, but I don't like that. I just don't see how a translates into positive outcomes too often. He has 3 meeples, just invade. Like, what's the problem? And he did almost lose a city in the last game because of this, right? I think the idea is that it is difficult for green to claim this city. And that's what we're seeing right now, right? And so green is forced to play a tiny bit inefficiently and just finishing their city. But green still benefits compared to their alternative because, so see the tile that green had. If red were to just go here and invade, then green wouldn't really have a good place to use this tile. He would have to just start a new city. Or maybe go here and cap his road on one side. So, I don't know. Well, finally, RabbitRain covers up his monastery, which was an essential move to make. Because now, at the very least, these here setups are super dangerous and will be more than sufficient to counter the 18 points disadvantage on the scoreboard if both of them are drawn by the play with the red meeples. And Nallerheim quite deservedly takes care of the Dorito tile so generously left for him by RabbitRain, who now finishes in turn a 4-point road and chooses not to drop a farmer here, interestingly and a bit dubiously. Because after the completion of these here cities, this farm has actually have a lot of potential due to this here being a road monastery square. And so there's a way how all of these get unified together. Nallerheim tries to minimize the variance in the game, block the monastery square. Oh, but he's so smart! Because he's blocking the future monastery of red. Oh, do you get this? Because red eventually wants to get a monastery and place a meeple here, and Otto says, well, if you're gonna place a meeple here, you bet it's the last thing you ever do, metaphorically speaking. Because this is going to get blocked. So, from red's perspective, is there a point of going here? Maybe. But red chooses to start a new road. This time it's actually a very smart move. Very effective. Scoring here and then trying to set up a bit of a gambly opportunity to do something about this here square. Red benefits in most scenarios. Mr. Rabbit now. Or Miss Rabbit, actually, I don't know. With a straight line. Not sure exactly what they can do here. This move is not crazy. This move, a little bit crazy. I mean, I get this. It's a nice idea. Trying to create an attacking platform against this here square. It's actually good. But it has unintended consequences in the form of the vulnerability of this here city. Because now if Otto gets a cow, or a horse rather, he can go over here and then block this square and then free up his road whilst also blocking the city of red. Nallerheim chooses to make the block a little bit differently. I'm not sure how I feel about that, actually. Well, the idea, of course, is that it's a bit of a Sophie's Choice block, and it doesn't matter because it's completed anyway. The idea, of course, that this here tile was needed for this and this here square in the interest of red. Now, of course, it has successfully been blocked here, so green does not need to be worried too much about red completing this city. Actually, green does not need to be worried at all. Red now breaks the city of green on the right. Still technically completable, but now it's going to be less so. After RabbitRain places a straight line over here to break the square a little bit further, which is what I expect them to do. Otto, in the meantime, successfully completes a pre-block, and this is huge. Like, this does so much for green's winning chances. Because the fact that this monastery square has now drastically decreased in quality basically means that RabbitRain can never equalize. He can only get the monastery here, but he can never complete the monastery here. And so he can be in a position where he's slightly behind, and that is if he's lucky. So red's chances are now connected more with threats on the right. So these two shielded tiles look quite good. Maybe if we get 4 additional shielded tiles, then that would work. as a lovely 24-point city. I think the Japanese player will be happy even with unshielded tiles. Otto starts a 4-point road at the top whilst restricting Red City. Red gets a monastery for 7, almost completing this here setup. And this square is mildly vulnerable, but really nothing to worry about. Nallerheim gets himself a scoring tile with no scoring places. He could, however, use it here for breaking the city of Red, and I think this is what I want to use it for if I'm the Finn. There are several options of doing so. This one seems to be the most traditional. Kinda, if you're new to Carcassonne and if you get this big tile and if you want to use it to break your opponent's city, just kind of try to make the most ugly shape that you can think of, and this is probably the correct move. So this, to me, looks pretty ugly, and also, like, it requires multiple tiles here. As soon as a tile here is placed, this square will be vulnerable, this square will be vulnerable. Like, this city, just as a result of this one here teeny point sacrifice from Nallerheim, has lost double digits in the percentage of the probability in which it were to be successfully completed. Hi Natpira, hi Isna. And Otto uses his meeple majority to be the first on their farm. RabbitRain, in the meantime, tries to use his city to build up and still preserve some completion chances, and also to block Otto's city, which he's now likely to do. So he could now go over here, unless he wants to be efficient again and go over here first at the top. So Nallerheim gets a scoring tile, a rather easy decision as to where to score this point, a rather subtle decision in terms of orientation. I think he finds the best one. The idea here is that it is a little bit safer for his city, because had he turned this the other way around, then somebody could score 2 points over here, and that would expose the vulnerability of this here square. I know, subtle, but it actually does make a difference. So 14 points ahead on the scoreboard, but still not out of the woods, as these here 8 points were a very nice addition to RabbitRain. And it's still possible to draw this monastery, and you know what? If you're red, you're just gonna go here for the 8 points. It's good enough. Nallerheim with a city cap, and he needs to make a decision again if he wants to pursue the city to completion or not. He chooses not to. He goes for the farm, and he goes for setting up a dagger tile. This is actually quite fun. I did not see that move, honestly, but if you want to use your meeple majority, I guess you use it for stuff like this. And the plan for this here city is not completion, it is unification. We get a road Dorito, probably, or a regular Dorito, and try to go over here. But we get a straight line instead. RabbitRain, in the meantime, is climbing back on the scoreboard by successfully completing a 4-point road. Nallerheim gets a road point. Both players simply trying to score. RabbitRain breaks the city cap of Otto. Otto reclaims the city cap with the splitter. But there's a better move. Will Otto see it? And with 2 minutes and 43 seconds on the clock, of course, he'll see it. The move is not to claim any of these cities. The move is to go over here and start a new city on the left, because this is a permanent block. There's nothing that's left to fit into the square, and it's going to make a great deal for Otto's winning chances. It's not so much about the loss of this meeple, because, you know what, like, with 24 tiles remaining, 3 meeples is more than enough to finish the game. It's more about the fact that there was this sequence where the red guy could get a straight line and a monastery and another monastery, or like a curve in the road monastery and something nasty like this. And there were some good tile runouts, how red could benefit a lot from monasteries. Now red can really only truly benefit from one monastery, and all the others, well, there are a couple of spots here, but they're just kind of nowhere near as potent. For example, whether you go here or here, your monastery gets controlled by green's road, because since green's road is blocked, it has no interest in continuing itself. So you're forced to continue your road if you want to get your meeple back. Or if you don't get your meeple back, your monasteries just don't score that much. Yeah, so that's the issue there. So crucial tile draw for the Finnish master. As for his Japanese colleague, it's another dilemma here. Like, this is a complicated position with so many choices. I'm just gonna give you the candidate moves. Option 1, we go here, either with a meeple or without. We just want to prevent our opponent from finishing a city in their field. And in fact, we probably do this without a meeple. And if they get themselves another Dorito, then we try to block or invade further. Option 2, we try to score ourselves, and we pick up the city at the bottom through either this here or this here route. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. Option 3, we want to minimize variance, and we go over here at the top and block the square permanently, preventing both green completing the city or invading our bigger side of the ruin. And this move would still preserve some outside chances of completing this here city, and this is why red chooses exactly that. Green now with the monastery. And I was saying how these monastery spots are not that great for red because they're controlled by green's road, but these monastery spots are great for green because they're supported by green's road. Whether you choose to go here or the other way, in any case, there's a chance to get multiple 2-point combos by extending this road around our monastery. It's only a question as to which one of these gives us a higher yield. Now, the advantage of this is that we get support for this here city. The disadvantage, of course, is that the city is slightly restricted, so there's certain tiles which we cannot fit anymore. Here, well, it says freer, but of course we don't get the city support, and we allow our opponent to get a tile like this. Honestly, I didn't think about this option, and I'm pretty sure Otto did not consider this either. Otherwise, of course, he would have gone over here. But I think as Otto, I would have placed this monastery here nonetheless, because I like just the support idea. And there are not many city plus road tiles to begin with, so we wouldn't be restricting ourselves that much. And a couple of the city plus road tiles we already need in this here area. So Otto is 13 points ahead on the scoreboard. RabbitRain has these 2 monasteries and has this city, and he's now just shamelessly going for the city completion. Like, this is what this is. Well, actually, it does a couple of other things. It's simply preventing an invasion, but this city is now completable. But huge tile for Otto as he gets 7 points. 4 for the field, 3 for the city. The other way around, I know, but no time for correcting myself, although I guess I just did. But more importantly, this city, this field is now nicely protected. It's 9 points and does not have any invasion opportunities. RabbitRain with a scoring tile could either take 2 points somewhere, leaving the city cap up in the open. He could take 2 points here and just blatantly go for the completion of the city, or he could cap the road of green, start a new city, and expose a blocking platform against this here square. So plenty of options for the RabbitRain. Not many of them are great. I could actually consider starting a new city here as well, maybe even finishing it, dropping a farmer, invading my opponent's field. This also looks not too shabby. Yeah, and 54 seconds to assess the position is really not that a lot. It's a surprisingly tricky tile. Juan Alvarez is saying the two city tiles, the two fields can be unified. True, but this would require a road monastery. I don't see any particular other path. Thank you for the kind words, Flaptopper. Yes, I keep saying this, but some Azul content, it's not over. Like, I'm planning some. In fact, I have been editing something the other day. It just takes so much time on top of the live broadcast, and we have so many of these wonderful matches. And RabbitRain shamelessly goes through the field for the city completion. Like, that is just what it is. If he successfully completes that city, I'm going to just storm out of the room. Nallerheim cannot really address that threat, but it's a good tile nonetheless. We can either go here and fill the most vulnerable square, or go over here, still leaving the square intact, but making sure that my city cannot be blocked. I think I prefer this option. I would not do anything desperate. I know many players would see this city trying to be completed and would panic and would just go over here. That's a bit of a waste of a shielded tile. We can, or should I say that's a bit of a shieldy move? Yeah, never mind. We can still address the threat later, like with 3 city caps required to complete the city, some of them restricted. In all likelihood, there will be still a chance to address this threat. I think we just pursue our own projects in the meantime. Otto, with 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock, he's trying to think through his moves. Maybe if I were him, I would be thinking more about how to pressure my opponents on the clock, how to not allow them to think too much. Otto goes for the other square, which also makes a lot of sense. RabbitRain cashes on his monastery setup, finishes the monastery, starts a new one for 8 points. Only -6 on the scoreboard. Nallerheim with a scoring tile. Now, of course, he's going to go here. The question of the orientation is a really interesting one. And I figure that this is where you need to burn a lot of your time. My intuition, I think, says something like this. Because normally these two field plus field angles are actually quite annoying. Otto chooses to go the other approach, given the fact that there are just simply too few city plus road tiles to be fit into those squares, but RabbitRain gets one anyway. Yeah, also another thing why Otto chose not that orientation is that this move would have allowed a ring road to Rabbit, not something that he wanted. But now that I think about this, the city has so many points in it, it has 12, that together with these here monasteries, which more than equalize the two farmers of green, Red could absolutely win this game without even having to complete his city. Like, I can see something like a 7-point monastery, a straight line for an 8 points, a 6-point farmer over here, and then suddenly Red is ahead. So it seems like Green could use a monastery of his own, or ideally Green could try and go here and pursue some city completion project. But it's a big decision now for Green. He needs to commit to one of the two options. Either trying to complete the city or do something like this. Get a road monastery point. Get a road and a monastery point. And also drop a city cap in his field. I think it's a much more powerful setup. Because it just requires one tile to cash. And it will be very difficult to do anything about this. I think as RabbitRain, we just wait. Like, we maybe go here, try to meeple a road, then we go here, drop a farmer, invade through the road monastery. The more Green makes these efficient build-up and scoring moves like this, the more our win from the Japanese perspective is contingent on drawing a specific power tile like the road monastery. Oh, thank you, Isna, for pointing out that there's also a route, albeit a lengthy one, with curves and curvy tiles to unify the fields like this, so that these here two cities will be part of here. Yeah, it's a lovely idea. I just don't think Otto's gonna have time for this. And look at this! RabbitRain's now trying to prepare a blocking square. Otto takes the 7 points. Not immediately because he was considering a city invasion, but the 7 points. Technically 8 points are actually just too good. RabbitRain trying to build up. Otto now needs to make a decision whether it's worth to invade this city. If it can be still completed, then I think I would probably just do that. It's a lot of points. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are no triple cities though for us to connect. But how about Doritos? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 2 Doritos. It's not bad. If we go here, it's certainly an option. But another option which looks just as powerful is going here or here with either orientation, building up my monastery, preparing it for completion, trying to develop my farm into a 15-point farm. I think it really depends on what I think about my opponent's probability of completing this city. It is still not 0. It is very much not 0. 2 Doritos go over here, a city cap go over here. This is actually quite plausible. It makes me worried if I am either Nallerheim or any of his Finnish friends. "30 seconds for the Finn to make this strategic decision." In the meantime, I actually need to move around some things, as I didn't realize that my scoreboard was a little bit off. Well, whatevs. No time for that. So Otto is going to allow a chance of that city to be completed. He figures that this farming move, it is just too good. He does not want to risk on the invasion. He drops the city cap in his field. He's going to try and complete the monastery. RabbitRain now can decide, does he want to commit to the city completion, which can actually be completed in a variety of ways, I believe, not just the 2 Doritos. I think there's also... I was going to say there's a combo of 2 city caps, but no, there isn't. Alright, so he goes for it, and never mind. Otto just draws the tile. All is well. That city can no longer be completed, no which way. We do not even need to bother blocking it. All we need to do is just make our highest scoring move of 2 points, continue our city and our road. Monastery tile for RabbitRain. Probably going to go here for the most high scoring option. And with that, I do not think that we can overcome a 12-point lead on the farm and the scoreboard and all these things. The city is nice, the monasteries are nice, but green is just too far ahead. We can still invade the farm at the top through Road Monastery. So maybe if we go here for 6, we get a city cap for 4 more. And then we drop a farmer like this and get a 5-point for the road and invade. Yeah, that could work actually very, very well in our favor. A lot of things need to occur. I do think we go for the high scoring move at the moment. I just don't see anything better for RabbitRain. Maybe he's a bit apprehensive about the city being blocked potentially. He does go indeed for his high scoring move. Otto cannot even block that actually, because there's still one tile remaining to fit there. But he chooses to do so nonetheless, because he's just out of time trouble. But it's also might have something to do about there being one dagger tile as well that would fit into that square. So I get it. Yeah, and I think now RabbitRain just needs to invade the farm. Like, we just go here or something. Like, we just have to do something extraordinary, special and extraordinary. We're also the second player, which makes our endgame probabilities quite abysmal, but abysmal still beats 0. He does not do it just yet. He figures he can do it towards the end. Otto can just score quick points, really. I think the move from RabbitRain was just a time trouble move. I mean, he could have just gone here, really, for a couple of points of his own. Otto draws the tile that RabbitRain needed for this here square. Now all he needs to do is not lose on time. He just takes the quick points. So we get the scoring tile from Rabbit. I mean, instead, of course, he's going to use it to invade the farm. He just needs to calculate. I think you just go here and drop a farmer like this. It kind of depends on what's remaining in the deck. There should be one regular Dorito. Oh, then it's actually quite bad for us, right? Because a regular Dorito can be used to block. So if we go here, let's say, and drop a farmer, then Otto just gets a regular Dorito, goes over here and blocks this. So that's why he doesn't even bother, he just takes the quick points. Otto gets the regular Dorito anyway. It's a fantastic tile for him. He can score 3 points. Going over here. Scoring 2 points. 1 for the monastery and a meeple bag for further use. Easy decision for the Finn. Further lead on the scoreboard, and the last tile of the game is in fact the Road Monastery, which he can use here for 6 points, 7 points, so an 11-point sequence. I guess he might consider going over here instead to deny Otto this option. It depends on what the last tile is, and I wonder if the Japanese player even has the energy to calculate that. And he does not. He just takes the 7 points, but allows Otto to take the 6 points. And all the fields in this game, not a single farmer was dropped by RabbitRain. Otto using his meeple advantage to the best of his ability. And prevailing in this match, the only thing to find out is by how much exactly. Giant cities being scored for 15. Small cities being scored for 1. A couple of monasteries for 14 temporarily put RabbitRain at an advantage, but now this is where we get all the fields. 6 and 6 and 12 are going to put Nallerheim plus 10, which is actually not even that much. It's still a comfortable advantage, and we congratulate him for that very, very spectacular performance. But it was absolutely a winnable game, either with some farming invasions and, of course, with the completion of a big city. And yeah, lovely comeback win from the Finnish master. To RabbitRain, we wish the best of luck. He's not eliminated. They get to go to the losers bracket. And if they win all the matches there, for which they will be the favorite there, then they will qualify to the playoffs. For Otto, just one more threshold remaining. And this is the Chinese Azul Master, now newly Carcassonne Master with a screen name Phosphate. We're going to do a preview a little bit later, but I just wanted to draw your attention to some subtleties. So first of all, the sequence that I think won Otto the game that was super crucial is this here. And this here, like the pre-block, recognizing that red could draw this here monastery and not allowing red meeples in advance, that was also huge. Also was quite fortunate to go here to not allow red some more monastery sequences. But I think the imprecision for red, which ended up making their position a bit worse, was this here opening move. After this game, I'm even further convinced that this other orientation is a little bit better. So first of all, one of my cases in point, we can see that the road was winning. The road was 7 points, whereas the city was 5 points. So the road was winning in the mini battle. With this other orientation, the city is more open. The road is capped at 5, and all these beautiful tiles do not require an extra meeple. They, in fact, can go over here. And with the tiles that were in the game, I believe that actually red would have even considered completed, or at the very least have threatened the completion of the city for 12, whilst the road of Nallerheim would still need some time to resolve, and red would be at a tiny advantage because of that. So I think that the first move just made the position of the Japanese players slightly worse than it had to be, and it shows the importance of the opening. Otto's opening game in this particular one was flawless, and it's resulted into a 10-point win. Hi, Otto. Congratulations on the win, and greatly appreciate providing the content, especially in the first game with all those 3 blocked meeples. Kolpnik is saying if Rabbit places the monastery on the right, Nallerheim can take the field anyway. But what if we use the monastery as a field meeple? I don't think we can take the field, no. That was the point. I think it was just a couple points more precise from RabbitRain's perspective to not go, here. No, oh, yes. That's unfortunate, yeah. That's true, actually. Because this square would have been unobstructed. Okay, yeah. So, with 4 seconds on the clock, actually, red did figure out that this was the safest move. Anyway, this one didn't matter that much anyway. Most of the game was decided way earlier. So, don't leave just yet, because we have another important event. I really wanted to go this stream to go very smoothly. That's why I apologize for the scoreboard, which is like a little bit off. I just didn't notice it. But yeah, here we can see that we have our truly main match. Never mind this, that was the warm-up. But we have cherrypapa against Logan Ghanesh in the second qualification tournament. This one, unfortunately, has already finished, as we had a very long match right now. But just wanted to acknowledge that this is the first appearance of a Korean player in the Carcassonne Champions League, and we wish them all the best of luck in the future of the qualification. So we might still get to stream a Korean player. And there are going to be some more plans for today. So first of all, let's have a look at this here bracket. Where did I lose it? No, No. Yes. Okay, so Nallerheim now will be placing Phosphate. RabbitRain now descends over here, who will be playing either Miss Penguin or Oscar Henny. I would put Miss Penguin as the favorite, which means that we might get a rematch, Rabbit against Penguin, from last year. That was also be a super high-rated matchup, just not quite as this one, but still interesting enough with RabbitRain as the favorite. And then they would have to play in the lower final against one of these here, 2 European players. And then also against, in the consolidation final, against whoever loses over here, whether it is Nallerheim or Phosphate. So, of course, I will be aiming to cover that. There are more matches today. Now we're going to have a big break, because this really took a lot of energy and concentration. But Keither against Lord Trooper is something that you can watch on Ice Maze's channel in about half an hour. I hope, and maybe they'll be able to catch a glimpse of the first appearance of an Indonesian player in the Carcassonne Champions League. But then in the evening, we're going to spend some time together looking at Uruguayan players, 2 of them. Quite an unusual dominance of Uruguay in this particular evening. And of course, most importantly, Nepamai of Latvia playing against the reigning United States champion Daniel Ayala for survival in the first qualification tournament for the Carcassonne Champions League. So these are the plans. I'm going to see you in just under 3 hours. If you enjoyed any of that, make sure to meeple the like button. It helps the algorithm a lot. If you want to see more of this sort of stuff and high-level matchups, subscribe for more competitive Carcassonne content like this. And if you're feeling particularly generous and want to support broadcast in the long term, then consider becoming a channel member and getting used to use all the cool meeple emojis that our members get to use. So that's it for a day. Nallerheim 2, RabbitRain 1. Nallerheim 1 step away from qualification. RabbitRain many steps away from the qualification. See you on 3 hours. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'ma see you soon.